Hello everyone, this is Sam from Language Atlas, and in this video I would like to show you the Russian B1 vocabulary Anki deck. In this video we will go over three things. First, I would like to show the course structure of the Russian B1 vocabulary Anki deck. Second, I would like to show the course content. And third, I'd like to show you some brief system and editing options. Now you can see that I have the Russian B1 vocabulary Anki deck right over here. Now normally you would double click on an Anki deck to open it, but I've already done so, as you can see right over here. So I will maximize Anki, and I'd like to get started with my first point, which is to show you the course structure. Now within the overall Russian B1 vocabulary Anki deck, there are 7 chapters, beginning with Chapter 1 pronouns, Chapter 2 conjunctions, Chapter 3 verbs, Chapter 4 nouns, Chapter 5 adjectives, Chapter 6 adverbs, and Chapter 7 prepositions. Now in front of Chapter 4 nouns, you see a little plus icon. If I click on it, you can see that there are subdecks inside of it, 20 to be precise. Now what I've done is that I've categorized nouns by theme. So there's a theme for academia and intellect, there's one for clothing and fashion, one for nature and environment, all the way to time, maths, and numbers, and transportation. So whenever you wish to study a certain theme within nouns, you are able to do so. Well, that was my first point, to show you the course structure. I'd like to go to my second point to show you the course content. And I'll do so by having a look at 3 Anki decks within the overall Russian B1 vocabulary Anki deck. Now, I can't show you all of them, but I think that these 3 Anki decks will give you a good enough image, a good enough representation of what you can expect if you do the Russian B1 vocabulary Anki deck. So I'll show you Chapter 4 nouns, and within Chapter 4 nouns I will show you home. I will show you Chapter 5 adjectives, and also Chapter 3 verbs. So I'd like to get started with Chapter 4 nouns, and I will go to home, and I will click on Study Now. So this is the first card type that we see. We see a Russian sentence. We see that there's a blank area. It's our job to know what goes inside the blank area. We see underneath it an English translation of the Russian sentence with a certain part bolded and underlined. So we have to know how to say journal in Russian. Underneath that, we have a visual representation of the sentence, and to be more precise, of the word even as well. So we have a sentence, a personal journal helps to preserve memories, and we see here a nice journal with some memories there as well, or at least representations of it. Now, why is it so important to have a visual representation of the sentence? Why is it so important to have an image? That is because many studies have shown that if you have such a visual representation, if you have such an image, it is easier to understand new words, it's easier to memorize them as well. So this visual representation will help you a lot when it comes to memorization and understanding. So, one more time, Russian sentence, blank area, with the English translation, a personal journal helps to preserve memories, and the blank over here, we have to know what journal is in Russian. And finally, we have the picture, the image. So, what is journal in Russian?
Личный дневник помогает сохранить воспоминания. Дневник. Дневники.
Great. So we can see that there are 3 areas. We have a sentence area, we have a singular area, and we have a plural area. I'd like to get started with the singular area. You can see that right over here we have the correct Russian sentence with the answer that we're looking for, bolded and in the color blue. Now why is this the case? Russian is a gendered language. There are 3 genders: masculine, feminine, and neutral. Now what I have done is that I have color-coded all nouns according to gender. So all masculine nouns will show up as blue, all feminine nouns will show up as pink, and all neutral nouns will show up as green. Now having this color coding here will help you a lot. You will immediately recognize the gender of nouns. So this visual aid is really important in memorization and understanding of the gender of nouns. So this will be a big benefit, a big plus to your language learning journey. So Russian sentence, correct answer, bolded, color is blue in this case because it's masculine. Underneath that, we have the IPA notation of the Russian sentence. Now, many people like to have an IPA notation as well, so this is essentially a nice aid when it comes to pronouncing the words. So if you're one of them or if you like to try, you can look at the IPA notation and it will help you with your pronunciation. Underneath that, we have an English translation of the Russian sentence. And we have, as the final part of the sentence area, the audio, the sentence audio.
Личный дневник помогает сохранить воспоминания.
Great. So the second area is the singular area. We have the Russian word, and within parentheses, we see the gender, M for masculine in this case. We have the IPA notation of the word, just as we had the IPA notation of the sentence over here. But over here, we have the Russian word with stress marker right over here. So if you're learning Russian, you may not always know where the stress goes, but this is why you have the stress marker over here, so you exactly know where to put the stress in a word. Underneath that, we have the English translation, and of course, we have word audio.
Дневник.
Great. So looking at this area, the third area, we have the plural area. Again, word in its plural form, IP notation, and again, word with stress marker, so you know where to put the stress, where you place the accent when you speak. We have the English translation and audio.
Дневники.
Great. Let's continue. Same setup, Russian sentence with a blank area. We see the English translation of the Russian sentence. The pin is holding the hem of the dress. And we have a visual representation, an image in this case. So, how do you say pin in Russian?
Булавка держит край платья. Булавка. Булавки.
Great. So the setup, you know, sentence area, singular area, plural area, but as you may have noticed, this time the word is bolded in pink. Why is this the case? Because the pin in Russian is a feminine noun. So masculine nouns will show up as blue, feminine as pink, and neutral as green. This will really help you with understanding and memorizing the genders of nouns in Russian. And in the singular area, you can see we have the F for feminine as well. Let's continue. The homework assignment was quite boring. How do you say assignment?
Домашнее задание было довольно скучным. Задание. Задание.
Great. So, setup, you know, sentence, singular, plural, but this time the word is green. And why is this the case? As we discussed before, if a word is neutral, if the gender is neutral, it shows up as green. You can see it right over here as well, the N for neutral. The first string on the guitar snapped. How do you say string?
На гитаре лопнула первая струна. Струна. Струны.
Let's do another one. The repair in the flat has been going on for a month already. How do you say repair?
Ремонт в квартире длится уже месяц. Ремонт. Ремонты.
A thick curtain hangs in the bedroom. How do you say curtain?
В спальне висит плотная штора. Штора. Шторы.
Great. So, just the final time, sentence area, word that we're looking for, bolded in pink, IP notation for your pronunciation, English translation of the Russian sentence and audio.
В спальне висит плотная штора.
We have the word, within parentheses, the gender, F for feminine, IP notation, and the word with the stress marker right over here. We have the English translation, audio,
Штора.
and the plural area, plural form of the word, IP notation. This is the word with stress marker right over here, English translation of the plural form and audio.
Шторы.
Great. I could continue, but I think you get the picture. Now I'd like to go to chapter 5, which is the second one I'll show you, chapter 5, adjectives. Study now. Great. So this is the first card that we see for adjectives. Now we can see that there is a Russian sentence with a blank area, as we've seen before. We have the English translation with a certain part bold and underlined, so live in this case. And we have a visual representation. So there is always live music in this bar. How do you say live?
В этом баре всегда живой звук. Живой, живая, живое. Живые.
Wonderful. Now, same setup, sentence area, singular area, plural area. But you may have noticed a slight change. The correct answer is bold, but in this case in the color indigo. Now, does this have a special meaning, the color indigo? No, not at all. Previously, we had seen that colors did have a special meaning in nouns. We had blue for masculine, pink for feminine, and green for neutral. But for all other cards, all other chapters, everything else, the correct answer will be in indigo, and it's purely there so you can immediately spot the answer. So once again, the color indigo has no special meaning. It's only there so you can immediately spot the correct answer in the answer sentence. So we have the correct answer sentence with the correct word that we're looking for in bolded and in indigo. We have the IPA notation, and we have the English translation of the Russian sentence. We have the audio as well, the sentence audio.
В этом баре всегда живой звук.
And now the second area, the singular area, is a bit special, it's a bit different, because we see three different versions of live. Why is this the case? Well, I explained that Russian is a gendered language, so the adjectives are gendered as well. We have the masculine form, we have the feminine form, and we have the neutral form for the word live. We have, as you've seen before, the IPA notation and the word with stress markers. Here, here, and here, so you know where to put the stress when you pronounce the word. We have the English translation.
Живой, живая, живое.
And of course the audio as well. We have the plural area, plural form, IPA notation, stress marker over here, so the word with the stress marker add to it, English translation, and audio.
Живые.
We have another sentence. How do you say written in Russian?
Валерий Петрович ждет твой письменный отчет. Письменный, письменное, письменное. Письменные.
Great. Same setup, sentence area, singular area, plural area, and of course we have different versions because Russian is a gendered language. We only have the medium size left. How do you say medium?
У нас остался только средний размер. Средний, среднее, среднее. Среднее.
Great. Let's do one more. Have you already listened to the latest album by this group? How do you say latest?
Ты уже слушал последний альбом этой группы? Последний, последнее, последнее. Последнее.
Wonderful. So, first area, sentence area, correct answer, IPA notation, English translation, audio.
Ты уже слушал последний альбом этой группы?
We have the different versions. We have the IPA notation. We have the word with stress marker. You can use both of them. You can rely on one of them, whichever you prefer. We have the English translation audio.
Последний, последнее, последнее.
We have the plural form, IPA notation, word with stress marker, and translation.
Последнее.
So I think you get the setup as well. And of course, you have both versions. I said IPA and word with stress markers. They're essentially a different way of helping you pronounce the words. You can use whichever one you prefer. You can use both, whichever suits you. So that was what I wanted to show you for adjectives. Now I would like to go to verbs, and I'll click on Study Now. So this is what we see. Again, this is the first card type, one that we already know. Russian sentence. There's a blank area. There's an English translation of the Russian sentence. And there is a certain part that's bolded and underlined. So we have to know feature. And we have a visual representation of the word in the sentence. So the new program will feature an interview with the writer. How do you say feature?
Новая программа будет включать интервью с писателем. Включать, включить.
Great. So this is the sentence area. We already know it. Correct answer sentence with the word which is bolded and in the color indigo. IP notation to help you with your pronunciation. We have the English translation. We have the audio as well.
Новая программа будет включать интервью с писателем.
And now we have the verb area, and this area is a little bit different because there are two versions of the verb. And you may ask yourself, well, why are there two versions of the verb? Well, Russian verbs often come in two versions. One version is used for general, repeated, or ongoing actions. This is sometimes called the imperfective. This one over here, this area. And the other version is used when an action is seen as completed or as one whole result. This is sometimes called the perfective. So this Anki deck always shows you both forms, shows you both versions, and this will really help you when it comes to learning Russian verbs and learning the Russian language. So, in perfective form of the verb, we have the IPA notation, as you know. We have the word with stress markers, so you know where to put the stress if you want to pronounce it properly. We have the English translation and we have the audio.
Включать, включить.
Let's continue. People do not like to waste time in queues. How do you say to waste?
Люди не любят тратить время в очередях. Тратить, потратить.
Wonderful. So sentence area, and we have the verb area right over here. Let's continue. The manager called to confirm the order details. How do you say to confirm?
Менеджер звонил, чтобы подтвердить детали заказа. Подтверждать, подтвердить.
Great. So sentence area, different versions of the verb, the imperfective, the perfective, IPA notations, word with stress markers, English translation, and audio.
Подтверждать, подтвердить.
I have no reason to dislike her. How do you say to dislike?
У меня нет причины ее недолюбливать. Недолюбливать.
Sometimes it is difficult to relate names to faces. How do you say to relate?
Иногда трудно связать имена с лицами. Связывать, связать.
Wonderful, wonderful. One more. The designer came to measure the kitchen. How do you say to measure?
Дизайнер пришел измерить кухню. Измерять, измерить.
Great. So you can see Russian sentence, correct word, which is bold in color indigo. And as we discussed, indigo has no special meaning. It's just there so you can immediately spot the correct answer. IP notation helps you with the pronunciation. English translation and audio.
Дизайнер пришел измерить кухню.
Verb in imperfective and perfective. IP notation to help you with pronunciation. Word with stress markers right over here and here. So you know where to put the stress when you pronounce the word. And the English translation.
Измерять, измерить.
Great. So that was what I wanted to show you for verbs. Now, that was my second point to show you the course content. Now I'd like to go to my third point, which is to show you some brief system and editing options. Now, you may have noticed that all of the exercises we have done so far were fill-in-the-blank exercises. You see a sentence with a blank area, and you have to know what goes inside of it. For those that want to practice their spelling, there's an optional typing exercise. This is disabled by default, but I will show you how to enable it. You click on Browse, and then you click on the Russian B1 vocabulary Anki deck. Click on any of the cards, it doesn't matter which one. And then if I scroll down, you can see that there's an area over here called Enable Typing Practice. Now, all you have to do is enter yes here, and you will have an additional typing card as well. But doing this one by one for all of these cards will take a very long time. So I will show you how to do it in a very fast way. Click on any of them, doesn't matter which one. Control A or Command A. Right mouse click, Notes, and we go to Find and Replace. Now we see that a new area pops up. And what we want to do is we want to find the empty area over there and we want to replace it with the word yes. And of course, in which area do we want to do this? In the Enable Typing Practice area. I will click on OK. Anki processes it. And if I go over here, I see that they all have a yes now. So let's have a look at a typing exercise so you can have a better image of what that exactly is. I'll go to Nouns. I'll go to Home, and then I will click on Study Now. Now, this is a card that we've already seen before. A personal journal helps to preserve memories. Before, we only had to fill in the blank. We had to know what the Russian word for journal was. Now we actually have to type in the correct word. So you have, and this really tests whether you can type, where you can spell the word correctly. So let's see if you can spell the word correctly for Russian, for journal in Russian.
Личный дневник помогает сохранить воспоминания. Дневник. Дневники.
Great. So you can see that I entered the Russian word for journal correctly. And if you do so, if your answer is correct, Anki will show it to you in the color green. And this essentially means that the answer you entered was correct. And yeah, Anki gives you immediate feedback, so you immediately can see what the correct answer was. So this is really a great tool if you want to practice your typing, if you want to practice your spelling. But what happens if we type the answer incorrectly? So this is a card that you've already seen before. The pin is holding the hem of the dress. You have to spell, you have to type the correct word for pin now in Russian. But let's say that we make a mistake. What happens then?
Булавка держит край платья. Булавка. Булавки.
And again, we see a similar setup, but something has changed. Just as before, the part that was correct shows up in green. However, what we did not have correct shows up as red. So Anki shows you where you made the mistake. And underneath it, we have the correct answer as it should have been, and the gray part is what we should have had. We had it in red, but what we should have had is here over here in gray. Now, I could continue, but I think you get the picture. More typing exercises. So this is a really useful one if you really want to practice your typing, if you want to practice your spelling. But let's say you want to revert. You want to go back to the first card type only, which was the fill in the blank one. You want to get rid of all the optional typing practice cards. How do you do that? Well, all you have to do is get rid of the yes over here. But again, doing this one by one for all the cards takes a very long time. So I'll show you how to do it in a faster way. You clicked on the Russian B1 vocabulary Anki deck. Control A or Command A. Right mouse click, notes. We will go to find and replace. We want to find the word yes and we want to replace it with nothing. So we want to have an empty area over there. And in we want to have the enable typing practice field. So yes, empty, enable typing practice. I will click on OK and all the notes, all the sentences have been updated. And you can see that it's empty, the enable typing practice field. And now all I have to do is delete the additional typing practice cards. So I'll go to tools, I will go to empty cards, and you can see I have all these optional typing practice cards. I want to delete them. That's it, done. Now we only have the original card type, which was the fill in the blank one. Great. So there's one more thing that I want to show you. Many people ask me, Sam, what are the best settings you can have for your cards? Like how do you regulate how many cards you see per day? And are there any other system optimizations that I can do? What is the best settings? So I'll show you how to change these things and how to get to the best settings. So next to Russian B1 vocabulary, you see this little icon. If I click on it, options, we see that we get a pop-up, and the pop-up says daily limits. And we have an area over here called new cards per day and maximum reviews per day. Now currently I have set to 15 new cards per day and a maximum of 150 reviews per day. So it doesn't mean that you have 150 reviews every day, but this is just the maximum. And a review is simply a card that you have already done before. So I can change this from, let's say, 15 to 30, and I can turn this to from 150 to 300. So I have increased what I do every day. And once I have saved it, the amount of cards increase. I can decrease this as well. I can go from, let's say, from 30 to 5, and I can change this to 50. So I decrease the amount of cards that I do every day, and you see that the numbers have decreased. But I would recommend for most people, especially when they begin with Anki, to have 15 new cards per day and a maximum reviews of 150. Of course, you can change this to whatever you want. And a nice little trick is, whichever number you have in new cards per day, do it times 10 for maximum reviews. So 15, I did it times 10, it's 150. Of course, you can do whichever number you feel comfortable with, if it's more, if it's fewer. but I think 15 and 150 is a good starter recommendation. Now, if I go down, I see an area over here called FSRS. Now, what is this? This is essentially a new algorithm. Now, Anki has a default algorithm, but many studies have gone into this one, the newer one, and it's more effective and more efficient. So I recommend that you use this one. It will help you better memorize and more efficiently memorize what you do. And an algorithm is essentially what determines which cards you see and when you see them. So I highly recommend that you do this one. It's better than the default Anki algorithm. It will aid you in your memorization. It's more effective and efficient. It serves you cards in a better way. So FSRS, we turn it on. And for desired retention, 90%. So one more time, daily limits, I have new cards 15, maximum reviews 150. And I have the FSRS algorithm on. I have the 90%, and this algorithm serves me cards in a more effective and efficient way, which will better enable my memorization of the cards and understanding, of course, as well. Click on save. That's it. That is what I wanted to show you in this video. I hope you enjoyed my explanation of the Russian B1 vocabulary Anki deck. You can get the Anki deck at languageatlas.com. I repeat, languageatlas.com. I will share all the links in the comment section and description, so you know exactly where to go if you want to get the deck and if you want to have more information. Thank you again for watching. I wish you the best of luck when it comes to learning the Russian language. And yeah, have a great day. Goodbye.